हेलो दोस्तों, बिगनर्स पॉइंट में आपका स्वागत है। और अभी हम कर रहे हैं चैप्टर 3, क्लाइमेट्स ऑफ इंडिया। सुभाषिता में लिखा ही है, काले वर्षतु पर्जन्य पृथ्वी सस्न्यासली दोष्यम कोश भारतः भरमंसुता निर्भया। May the rains be timely, may the earth be lush with vegetation, may this country be free from turmoil, may good people be fearless. Weather, seasons, and the climate. Climate is word people use in everyday conversations, but quite often, what they really means is weather and not climate. What's the difference? Weather is what we experience every hour or day. It might be raining, or there could be bright sunshine, a lot of wind, etc. The weather keeps changing. Climate, on the other hand, is the pattern of weather an area or a region experiences over a long period of time, several decades at least. This pattern varies from region to region. Before we come to the various type of climates, let us briefly stop to introduce seasons. Seasons occur as the earth revolves around the sun. Each season lasts for a few months and recurs every year. As we know, there are several seasons in the year: spring, summer, monsoon, autumn, and winter that occur in a cycle. Are seasons related to the weather or to the climate? The answer is to both. The weather changes with the season, that is, it can be dry and hot in the summer months or humid and rainy during the monsoon. Further, the pattern of seasons in a region is closely connected with the climate. There are four main seasons across most regions of the world: spring, summer, autumn, winter. However, India receives rainfall during a specific period of the year, the rainy season or monsoon, along with the other four. Traditionally, in many parts of India, the year is divided into six seasons or ritus: Vasant, spring; Grishma, summer; Varsha, rainy season; Sharad, autumn; Hemant, pre-winter; Shishir, winter. Specific rituals and festivals are associated with these six ritus, such as Vasant Panchami or Sharad Purnima. If we observed we the If we observe the world around us, we will notice that human, plant, and animal life are in rhythm with the ritus or seasons. The crops we grow, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, and so on change with the season. Depending on the region, some trees and shrubs bloom one with the onset of Vasant or spring. In some places, they shed their leaves or change their colors as Sharad or autumn approaches, and some animals develop thick fur in the cold winter month. Usually, the climate remains stable over long periods of time. However, scientists have been recording change in the climate of the world in the recent decades. Study shows that many of these changes have been caused by human actions. Let us recapitulate. Weather is what we experience from day to day: windy, rainy, hot, dry, etc. Seasons recur every year, and the weather of a place is different in every season. Climate is the long term pattern in a particular region. There are many types of climates in the world. We will now survey the main type found in India. Types of climates in India. We have often seen how India is land of diversity. This is equally true of its climate. In the north, the Himalayan mountains have an alpine climate with cold, snowy winters and cool summers. The word alpine comes from the Alps, a mountain range of Europe. That's probably where you will see the thickest clothing in India. Lower in the Himalayas and in many hills areas of India, the climate is often said to be temperate, as the winters are moderately cold and the summers not too hot. That is where we find many hill stations, much frequented by people seeking relief from the heat in the plain below. In the northern plains, the climate is subtropical with very hot summers and cold winters. This is where most of India's wheat is grown. In the west, the Thar Desert has an arid climate featuring extremely hot days, cool nights, and very little rainfall. People there have had to develop unique ways to collect and save water. The western coastal strip receives heavy rainfall during monsoon months, creating a tropical wet climate which is favorable to the growing of rice and species. The central spice यानी कि मसाले. The central Deccan Plateau has a semi-arid climate with hot summers, mild winters, and moderate rainfall during the rainy seasons. Eastern India and the southern peninsula experience a tropical climate with a mild winter and distinct wet and dry periods controlled by monsoon winds. More on them soon. You will understand later the meaning of the terms tropical and subtropical, which are related to two spatial parallels of latitude called the tropics. Factors determining the climate, what creates those different climates. There are many factors at work. Some are general ones on the scale of the planet, while others are regional or even local. Let's examine a few. Latitude. We studied about latitude in grade 6. Do you remember that latitude measures the distance from the equator increasing as we move away from it, either northward or southward? While the climate around the equator is extremely hot, as the latitude increases, it becomes temperate and then cold or frigid. Why it this so is? Places near the equator, places near the places near the equator, that is at low latitudes are warmer, while those near the poles, high latitudes are colder. ये क्या है atmosphere. At the equator, exposure to the sun's rays is concentrated, but near the poles it is dispersed over a wide area. Solar radiation इधर घूमेंगी ऐसे घूमेंगी. This happens due to the angle at which the sun's rays hit a particular area. At the equator, the rays are nearly perpendicular, and so all their energy is focused on a smaller area of the Earth's surface. In the polar regions, the rays are inclined or oblique, and the energy is distributed over a larger surface. Moreover, they have to pass through more of the Earth's atmosphere, as the diagram shows, which further dissipates their energy. As a result, the polar regions receive less heat than the equatorial zone. We can see this is in India too. Kanyakumari and the Nicobar Islands, being close to the equator, are warm or hot almost throughout the year, whereas places in the north, such as Srinagar, are much cooler. Altitude. We mentioned hill stations above, which are popular tourist centers because of their cooler climate. India has many, including Monarch, Taining, Udgamandalam, Ooty, Medikeri, Mahabaleshwar, Mount Abu, Shimla, Nainital, Darjeeling, Tawang, Shillong, etc. We know they are located at a higher altitude than the plains below, but how does that explain their cooler temperature? You will later learn the full answer in your science classes. To keep things simple for now, the temperature decrease as the altitude increase because Darjeeling, Ooty, Munnar, Shimla. The atmospheric pressure and therefore the air density decrease as the altitude increase, as we saw in the chapter understanding the weather, and as the air gets less dense it's cooler. The sun heats the surface of the earth, and so the further away from the surface the less hot the air will be. The Himalayas are so high that many peaks maintain a temperature below water's freezing point, keeping them covered in snow. Proximity to the sea. Temperature in coastal areas do not vary much. The summers are not too hot and the winters are not too cold. That is because the sea acts as moderator for the temperature. This diagram sums up the phenomenon, and your science textbook explain this further while discussing the heating and cooling of land and water in coastal regions. The result is that those regions tend to be more temperate. As you move inland from the coast, the temperature gets more extreme. Summer temperatures will be higher and winter temperatures lower. For instance, Mumbai and Nagpur are located at a similar latitude, but Mumbai, being near the sea, has cooler summers around 32 degrees Celsius and milder winters around 18 degrees Celsius, while Nagpur, away from the coast, experiences up to 44 degrees Celsius in summer and about 10 degrees Celsius in winter. As you see, Mumbai's range of temperature, that is the difference between the maximum and minimum, is about 14 degrees Celsius, while the range at Nagpur reaches 34 degrees Celsius. Distance from sea, summer incoming heat from the sun, 32 degrees Celsius. Sea absorbed heat slowly, coastal region cooled by the sea, 44 degrees Celsius, warm. Winter, outgoing heat from the earth, 18 degrees Celsius, sea loses heat slowly, coastal region warm by sea air, 10 degrees Celsius, cold. Land loses heat rapidly. Then winds. Wind can move masses of warmer or cooler air. States like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh often receive winds blowing from the west. Having traveled over the deserts of Arabia to Afghanistan, they bring dry and hot air that causes severe heat waves in summer. In winter, cold winds from across the Himalayas creep into the Himalayan foothills, resulting in cold waves. इधर से ही ऐसे जाएंगी, घूमते रहेंगी, साइक्लोनिक सर्कुलेशन बन जाएगा. Winds affect not only temperature but also humidity and in turn perception. We saw dry winds coming from distant desert. In contrast, winds coming from the sea bring moisture over the land, which may result in rainfall. We will soon see the case of the monsoon winds. Topography, the totality of the physical surface features of an area. This may include mountains, hills, valleys, slopes, and coast. Now it's topography. Finally, the topography of a region also plays an important role in determining its climate. For instance, the Himalayas and the Karakoram range protect to some extent the Indian subcontinent from the winds of the cold deserts of Central Asia. The nearly flat topography of the Thar Desert, on the other hand, has nothing to protect it from hot and dry winds. In the next section, we will see the role of the Western Ghats in India's southwest monsoon. Putting it all together, the climate of any region is determined collectively by all the above factors. Describing the climate involves a description of the patterns of temperature, precipitation, rain or snowfall, occurrence of fog or mist, and wind conditions in a region over 3 decades or more. A microclimate is a climate localized in a small area which differs from the climate in the surrounding region. It has a unique pattern of temperature, humidity, precipitation, etc. in a small geographical areas. For instance, enclosed valleys and some forests have microclimates of their own, so do urban heat islands. That is, some cities that have a large number of buildings and other concrete structures and very little vegetation. All this traps the heat and they are often much warmer than the surrounding regions. Microclimates can influence the local flora and fauna, the crops grown, and impact human health and well-being. The monsoon. The monsoon season is central to life in India during the monsoon months. The rivers fill up, the soil is soaked with water, crops grow, and life thrives. Strictly speaking, the word monsoon, which comes from the Arabic word mausim, meaning season, refers to a seasonal winds over a large area of the Indian Ocean and surrounding regions, including Australia, Africa, and South Asia. There is a yearly pattern to the monsoons. Their mechanism is complex but based on the simple fact that land heats up or cools down faster than the ocean. Monsoons bring out the fundamental relationship between temperature, pressure, and wind movement. To put it, to put it simply, a summer begins, the Asian landmass heats up, creating a powerful low pressure system over it. Since air always flows from high pressures to low pressure, winds are drawn from the cooler, high pressures ocean towards the hot land. These ocean winds carry moisture that condenses over the warmer land and falls in the form of heavy monsoon rains. That is why monsoon commonly refers to the seasonal rains rather than the winds. Summer, southwest monsoon, Arabia to northwest monsoon. The pattern reverses in winter when the landmass cools down more rapidly than the ocean. Now the land has a high pressure system while the ocean remains warmer with relatively low pressure. This causes the winds to blow in the opposite direction from the land towards the ocean, bringing dry conditions to much of Asia. Coming to India, the monsoon rains typically advance from the southern tip of India in early June, moving to northward over several weeks until they cover the entire subcontinent by mid-July. It is not a smooth progression through the Western Ghats. Remember, our brief survey of topography act has a normal barrier. Their western slopes receive much rainfall, while the Deccan Plateau to the east receive less and often with interruptions. This is commonly called the summer or southwest monsoon. Southwest reflecting the direction the winds come from. As winter approaches, the winds reverse and blow from the land to the ocean, as we just saw. These are dry winds that brings cold weather to South India, but a part of them passing over the Bay of Bengal collect some moisture and bring rainfall to parts of East and South India. This is called the winter or northeast monsoon. Moisaram, located in Meghalaya, receives the highest average annual rainfall in the world, about 11,000 mm, which is the same as 11 meters. The monsoon have inspired by rugs in both Carnatic and Hindustani classical musical. Megh Madram and Amrut Vashni are names of couple of them. Since the ability to predict the monsoon rainfall has been an important aspect of life in India, our ancestors observed nature around them carefully. They developed local traditional knowledge through their experience. This traditional knowledge is an important heritage we must preserve. For example, fishermen on the Konkan coast predict the onset of the monsoon when fishes that normally stay underwater are seen at the surface. In parts of southern India, monsoon is said to arrive within 50 days around after the golden shower tree Cassia fistula blossoms. Some communities also believe that when crow build their nest high on tree tops, it indicates less rainfall. Whereas if the nests are lower, rainfall is likely to be heavy. Make a list of such local knowledge about rain, fog, snow or hail in your area. Climate and our lives इसको पढ़ेंगे अब कल